The time is precisely 1:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News edited by Catherine Pereira and read by Chandima Veerakon. Headlines. Lok Sabha Speaker says that Sri Lanka continues to be an important partner in India's growth story. Ali Sabri to visit Kathmandu for Sri Lanka-Nepal Joint Commission's inaugural session. Cabinet approval granted to import 15,000 metric tons of maize. Chinese travellers to select Sri Lanka as their holiday destination in the forthcoming Spring Festival holidays. First batch departs for Israeli agricultural jobs. More than 2,000 arrested during 24-hour special drug bust. At least 111 dead, scores injured after earthquake in China's Guangzhou. Local stories in detail. Sri Lankan Parliament Speaker Mahinda Abeyewardene, who is currently leading a parliamentary delegation to India, called on Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla yesterday, following which Birla emphasized that Sri Lanka continues to be an important partner in India's growth story. Abeyewardene called on Lok Sabha Speaker Birla at the Parliament House complex in the national capital. As a strategic neighbour, Birla stressed the importance of Sri Lanka in the Indian context. Observing that both countries are deeply linked economically as well as tourist destinations, Birla lauded the fact that Sri Lanka continues to be an important partner in India's growth story. He hoped that the ties fostered for so long would strengthen over time, according to an official release. He further said that the two countries are not only close neighbours but also guardians of a shared history, culture and democratic values that bind the two nations together. He elaborated that the two countries have had historic and cultural ties since time immemorial, and there is a deep emotional bond shared between the people of these nations, which further solidifies these ties, the release said. Mentioning the shared democratic ethos of both countries, he noted that the common values of democracy have served as a guiding light toward progress and unity, it added. Sri Lanka's Foreign Minister Ali Sabri will undertake a visit to Kathmandu from December tomorrow to the 22nd to attend the inaugural session of the Sri Lanka-Nepal Joint Commission at Foreign Ministers level, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs said. The Foreign Minister will lead the Sri Lanka delegation and co-chair the inaugural session of the Sri Lanka-Nepal Joint Commission with his counterpart Narayan Prakash Soud, Foreign Minister of Nepal. The Joint Commission will focus on a range of areas of bilateral cooperation between Sri Lanka and Nepal, including trade and investment, tourism, education, defence, culture, connectivity and people-to-people contacts. During the Joint Commission, a Memorandum of Understanding on cooperation in the fields of science, technology and innovation will also be signed, the statement said. On the sidelines of the Joint Commission, Foreign Minister Sabri is scheduled to have bilateral talks with his Nepali counterpart Narayan Prakash Soud. He will also pay courtesy calls on President Ram Chandra Paudel and Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal of Nepal during his stay in Kathmandu. During the visit, Foreign Minister Ali Sabri will meet the Sri Lankan expatriate community in Nepal as well, according to the ministry. The Embassy of Sri Lanka in Beijing organized a promotional event at the Chancery premises on the 15th of this month to announce the free visa regime introduced by Sri Lanka to 7 countries, including China. Over 60 guests representing the Chinese outbound travel industry and local media participated in the event. Addressing the gathering, Charge d'Affaires K.K. Yoganathan invited the outbound travel companies and local media to work in coordination with the Embassy of Sri Lanka to give wide publicity on Sri Lanka as a favoured travel destination among the Chinese public, in view of the free visa regime introduced recently, stating that SALT agency, a key search engine optimization specialist, has named Sri Lanka as the 5th fastest-growing tourism destination in 2024. The Charge d'Affaires urged Chinese travellers to select Sri Lanka as their holiday destination in the forthcoming Spring Festival holidays. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with the local stories, the first group selected for jobs in the Israeli agricultural sector left for Israel from Katunayake Airport last night, the Sri Lanka Bureau of Foreign Employment said. Accordingly, 30 persons were included in this group. Another group of 20 will leave for Israel this morning, with an additional group of 30 scheduled to be sent to Israel tonight. Air tickets for the first batch of workers were handed over by the Minister Manusha Kara at a ceremony held yesterday to mark International Migrants' Day. During the event, the minister stated that according to a bilateral agreement between the two countries, 10,000 workers will be able to fly to Israel in the next few weeks. The minister emphasized that there is no need to pay money to any party for these jobs. Therefore, even if it is discovered after going abroad that someone has paid money to obtain these job opportunities, they will be brought back, as both governments have reached an agreement on repatriating those who have paid money. In addition, the minister further said that Israel has agreed to hire 2,000 workers for job opportunities in the construction sector. The police have made more than 2,000 arrests and impounded large consignments of drugs during a 24-hour special operation ending at 12:30 a.m. today, the Public Security Ministry says. Accordingly, a total of 2,166 individuals have been placed under arrest, while 1.3 kilograms of heroin, 556 grams of methamphetamine or ice, 7.8 kilograms of cannabis, 3.5 kilograms of mava and 1,075 narcotic pills have been seized. Further, the police have secured detention orders on 66 individuals arrested in the drug bust. Meanwhile, financial asset investigations have been initiated on 14 arrestees and sent 226 for rehabilitation. Among these arrestees are 169 who have been wanted by the investigation officers. To conclude the local news, the headlines again. Lok Sabha Speaker says that Sri Lanka continues to be an important partner in India's growth story. Ali Sabri to visit Kathmandu for Sri Lanka-Nepal Joint Commission's inaugural session. Cabinet approval granted to import 15,000 metric tons of maize. Chinese travellers to select Sri Lanka as their holiday destination in the forthcoming Spring Festival holidays. First batch departs for Israeli agricultural jobs. More than 2,000 arrested during 24-hour special drug bust. That concludes the local news for now.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatma.
And on the main news story, the Mahasangha will leave the country to participate at the Mahasangha Sammalua to be held in India. All Buddhist countries in the Asian region will participate at the summit. Discussions will be focused to solve the problems created globally through the Dhamma ideologies. Accordingly, the Mahasangha, including the Mahanayakas, Anunayakas, are to participate in this event. That ends the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatma.
This is Watchlight.
And on Watchlight, compensation will be paid to selected farmer families who have lost their farmlands due to the construction of Yan Oya Resoa and Left Bank. Cabinet approval has also been received in this regard. 1.8 million rupees will be paid for their lands. That came to you in Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
Headlines of the world news. At least 111 dead, scores injured after earthquake in China's Guangzhou. Iceland volcano erupts on Reykjanes Peninsula. Amazon to make Warhammer 40,000 shows and movies. At least 111 people were killed and more than 230 injured after an earthquake hit the Guangzhou-Qinghai border region in China on Tuesday, according to reports by state media. The European Mediterranean Seismological Center, or the EMSC, had pegged the earthquake at magnitude 6.1. Chinese state media said the quake was registered at 6.2 magnitude. The quake occurred at a depth of 35 kilometers, with its epicenter 102 kilometers west-southwest of Guangzhou's provincial capital city, Lanzhou, EMSC said. Official reports have not stated whether there are any missing people in the quake's aftermath. A volcano has erupted on the Reykjanes Peninsula of southwest Iceland after weeks of intense earthquake activity. About 4,000 people were earlier evacuated from the fishing town of Grindavik, and the nearby Blue Lagoon geothermal spa was closed. The eruption started north of the town yesterday, the Icelandic Met Office said. The region around the capital Reykjavik has been experiencing an increase in earthquake activity since last October. Images and videos posted on social media showed lava bursting from the volcano just an hour after an earthquake swarm or seismic events were detected. A Coast Guard helicopter has been sent to the area to confirm the exact location and size of the eruption. The makers of Warhammer 40,000 have finalized a deal with Amazon to bring the characters and stories to the big screen. The British actor Henry Cavill, best known for playing Superman, will be an executive producer and has signed up to appear in the project. Warhammer simulates battles between armies of miniature painted models. The deal gives Amazon the rights to hire talent and to make film and TV projects. Now comes the fun part, working out all the creative details with our partners and getting the first script written and into production. What Warhammer 40,000 stories should we tell first? Should we kick off with a movie or a TV show or both? Games Workshop said in a statement. To conclude the world news, the headlines again. At least 111 dead, scores injured after earthquake in China's Guangzhou. Iceland volcano erupts on Reykjanes Peninsula. Amazon to make Warhammer 40,000 shows and movies. That ends the world news.
Development news.
On to the development news. Measures will be taken to establish 60 smart classrooms for students of the GCE A-level in the selected schools in estate sector of Noora Elia, Kandy and Badula districts within the 2-year period. The Government of India has agreed to provide financial assistance in this regard. That came to you in development news.
Moving on with sports news.
Sri Lanka Cricket Institute has approved with some conditions to the Sri Lanka cricketers who will participate for the Indian Premier League cricket tournament next year. This tournament is scheduled to be conducted from March to the end of May next year. 8 Sri Lankans are set to feature in the auction, in which the wrist spinner Vanidu Hasaranga has put his name in a higher base price. Kusal Mendis, Dasun Shanaka, Charit Asalanka, Dushmanta Chamira, Dishan Madhushankar, Lahiru Kumara and Nuwan Tushara are the other Sri Lankans named in the auction, and all of them have put their names in the base price of 50 lakhs of Indian rupees. That came to you in sports news.
Go ekakiyana youth ekata life eke change ekata niyameta set wenna as wahagena dagapu veena habe karanna youth ekata niyameta set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Taking a look at the business news, a large number of tourists have arrived at the Bundala National Sanctuary Park these days. There is a possibility of witnessing foreign birds at the park. This park can be considered as the paradise of foreign birds. That came to you in business news.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekakiyana youth ekata life eke change ekata niyameta set wenna as wahagena dagapu veena habe karanna youth ekata niyameta set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
And now in economic news.
On economic news, TJ Lanka PLC took the Silver Award in the extra-large category of the textiles and garments sector at the Annual Export Awards 2023 presented by the National Chamber of Exports, NCE, ending 2023 on a winning note. The NCE Export Award followed similar accolades for export excellence, including a Best Exporter Award and a Certificate of Merit at the 2023 Presidential Export Awards presented by the Export Development Board, or the EDB, and a Merit Award at the CNCI Achiever Awards for Industrial Excellence presented by the Ceylon National Chamber of Industries. That came to you in economic news.
Weather report.
And finally, we take a look at the weather report. Showers will occur at times in northern, north central and eastern provinces. Several spells of showers may occur in Uva province and in the Hambantota district. Showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in other areas of the island after 1 p.m. Fairly heavy showers above 75 mm are likely at some places in western, Sabaragamuwa, central and eastern provinces. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in western, Sabaragamuwa, central and southern provinces in the morning. That concludes the weather report. And to end this bulletin of news, the headlines again. Lok Sabha Speaker says that Sri Lanka continues to be an important partner in India's growth story. Ali Sabri to visit Kathmandu for Sri Lanka-Nepal Joint Commission's inaugural session. Cabinet approval granted to import 15,000 metric tons of maize. Chinese travellers to select Sri Lanka as their holiday destination in the forthcoming Spring Festival holidays. First batch departs for Israeli agricultural jobs. More than 2,000 arrested during 24-hour special drug bust. At least 111 dead, scores injured after earthquake in China's Guangzhou. With that, we conclude this bulletin of news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Over to Victor Raj.